Hey guys, Slimber here, and today we are doing another video on Prageru. I decided I had to look all professional with my fucking glasses that I have to wear permanently, and we got some alcohol with the... Wait a minute. This isn't professional enough. I'll be back. I farted, I'll be back. This is what professional alcoholics use. Here, you can watch me pour a shot. I'll move this so it's not in the way of the mic. Yeah. Might be the fucking most feminine drink I've ever drinking, but we're gonna use it for... Let's take a shot when the video starts. Let's get in it, shall we?
Do you remember America?
Nope.
If you read about it in a history textbook, you probably learned about a land of oppression, racism, sexism, income inequality, police brutality, and imperial wars. Aside from that, it was a great place. That is how America is portrayed in most American high schools and colleges, in America's media, films, and by its progressive politicians.
I mean, look, man, I've been out of high school 5 years, and I'm gonna let you guys try to figure out how the fuck I managed to get a diploma and have been out of high school for 5 years, and I'm only 20. But anyways, you guys have been saying this for years, that they're indoctrinating kids with leftist propaganda. And honestly, the only time they ever say something negative about America is like slavery or basically the civil rights movement. Oh, fuck, I burped. When they talk about the wars and stuff, they usually paint us as the good guys, like, most of the time. It's actually more American propaganda than it is leftist propaganda. Like, you conservatives make shit up. They're literally on your fucking side.
In the words of filmmaker Michael Moore, America is a nation founded on genocide, built on the backs of slaves, and maintained through the subjugation of women to second-class citizenship and economic disempowerment. Is that America's history?
Yes.
Is that who Americans were and are? George Orwell understood that the most effective way to destroy a people is to deny and obliterate their own understanding of their history.
Very interesting quote from, the very well-known capitalist George Orwell, who definitely wasn't a socialist. He definitely isn't well regarded as one. No. He definitely was pro-imperialism. He would have all been for this America is great and nobody should criticize it bullshit. Like, hey, maybe you should look into Orwell and maybe reread Animal Farm in 1984, and you might find that's not, for your side.
History is much more than a collection of facts. History, and our understanding of it, tells us who we are as a people, in the same way your personal memories and experiences define and shape who you are. Wipe out your memory, and you wipe out your identity. When you raise a generation of Americans to hold their country's past in contempt by exaggerating America's faults and ignoring its triumphs, then they will have no respect for American institutions.
Huh. Good thing that's not happening, because it doesn't happen. They literally exaggerate its triumphs and mostly ignore the faults. Other than what I said, I guess they sort of, gloss over fucking FDR's little, concentration camps, internment camps, that's what he called them, but they're concentration camps, essentially. That's what they were. For the Japanese, they sort of go over the Trail of Tears, even though there's many other atrocities that were committed on Native Americans that they would like to ignore. They don't really talk about the whole battle for workers' rights here and what has happened. Corporations have literally been involved with killing union members here in America. That was probably about the 1800s or early 1900s-ish. They don't like you to talk about the actual leftist stuff. They just want you to hear what conservatives and neoliberals won't cry over, basically.
Or the beliefs on which the nation is based. It hasn't always been this way. Until the last few decades, liberals and conservatives alike shared a common understanding of America's origins, its history, and its mission of spreading liberty,
Yeah, a bunch of information that was either false, like Christopher Columbus being the first person to come to America, that's false, or there were information that was just missing, like, what happened to the Indians. And they still leave a lot of that fucking shit out. But they fucking will sit there and pretend like, the first Americans were great people. They like to ignore, they still kind of do, but they, for the most part, like to ignore that Thomas Jefferson had slaves that he liked to fucking rape. Seems like one of us is for rewriting history, which would be you, to fit a type of propaganda, and one of us wants all of it to be told to people, which would be me. And this makes me curious. How do you feel about Southern schools that have taught the Lost Cause myth over the past 30, 40, 50 years? I guess it's sort of dying out now, but I know conservatives really fucking love it. And if you don't know what the Lost Cause myth is, basically, it is a misleading way to teach the Civil War, and it is a way to prevent vilifying the South, essentially, and protecting its image. Because basically, the way it's taught is, the South didn't fight for slavery, they fought for states' rights. Now, the simple answer to that is, the simple question to that is, states' rights for what? And the answer to that is, to own slaves. But a lot of conservatives like that because it appeases to retarded, racist, redneck Southerners.
Within America and around the world. They recognized America as the country of the Pilgrims in Jamestown, of the self-evident truths of the Declaration of Independence, of the individual rights won through revolution and secured in the U.S. Constitution. This was the country of the frontier spirit and of almost unlimited possibilities. The country that paid for the sin of slavery with the carnage of its Civil War.
I just mentioned this, but and also I'm going to mention that I think Texas, not even 30 years ago, was the last state to add fucking slavery to its history, curriculum. But they were teaching the Civil War very inaccurately, and the motives of it extremely inaccurately, and especially in the South.
Of economic dynamism and endless invention, of unparalleled individual opportunity, and the country that defeated fascism and communism in the 20th century.
Look, man, I haven't been in high school in the year 2020 or 2021, right? Last time I was in high school was 2015. But I'm pretty sure if I called a high schooler, and if it weren't fucking midnight, I probably would. But, if I did, they would probably fucking tell me that it's absolutely no different than when I went in 2015. And when I went in 2015, literally just taught all of this. Literally said all of this. Some of it was propaganda, but they taught this. And it wasn't propaganda in the way you're saying it. It was propaganda in your favor.
Previous generations took all this for granted and reveled in it. So what changed? Starting in the 1960s, a new so-called progressive narrative took hold that sought not to uplift, inspire, and unite, but to demean, degrade, and divide.
Yeah, buddy, sometimes history's not that inspiring. When I hear about Hitler killing 6 million Jews, I don't think, how inspiring. I think, damn, that's awful. Sorry, buddy. History, the truth, is not always fucking happy. Hate to break it to you, buddy. That's the real world.
It sought to replace the pride of American achievement with shame. Ironically, this all happened while America was making extraordinary strides in civil rights, especially for minorities and women.
Interesting. So you're telling me, at a time when people are becoming more enlightened and seem to have a problem with black people currently at the time, not, currently now, I'm sure it happens, but at the time, currently being lynched and people not being allowed to vote and, segregation at the time currently going on. You're telling me at this time of enlightenment, they started teaching history correctly in a way that you don't like. Huh. Interesting.
But anything less than perfection, which can never exist given that every society is composed of flawed human beings, is now considered a total failure.
That's it, guys. That's it. I'm debuting my disappointed glasses look on here.
But anything less than perfection.
Nobody is saying that America is a total failure. I mean, for its time in the 1700s, it was a pretty fucking cool thing. You didn't really see a lot of that in, other countries. But it has its issues, and it needs to be fixed. And a lot of things need to be modernized. Like, having issues isn't total failure. Calling out really, really bad parts of history isn't total failure. I mean, fuck. Germany had the Holocaust, and we don't say they're a total failure, but we criticize the fuck out of them.
And victims of the past are elevated as an indictment of the present. Along the way, all the classic American touchstones have been undermined. According to the progressive narrative, Christopher Columbus discovered America only to despoil it.
I'm going to address the biggest problem with that statement. Christopher Columbus didn't discover America, dumb fuck. There are Vikings here, like 400 or 500 years before Columbus. And plus the Indians came here, just technically, you could say discovered America, because they came here through a land bridge from like Siberia.
The founders wrote the Constitution only to codify their ownership of slaves.
That's not being taught in schools, nor is that the progressive narrative. The progressive narrative is that they did the Constitution and it didn't apply to slaves or women or any minority, so even Irish people and shit. It only applied to whites, Protestant, English men.
The great captains of industry enriched themselves only by exploiting the poor.
That's literally how they always get enriched, by exploiting the poor. Hey, if you make a dime and the CEO makes $1 for all the work you've done, that's you getting exploited. And this is always in the case. Look at the Industrial Revolution, where it was literally, honestly, at its fucking worst. I mean, there's literal child labor going on at that time. I mean, to say America has been the worst with that, though, that's kind of not true. I mean, we've had some good moments. Look at Theodore Roosevelt's presidency. He had a lot of pro-workers' rights stuff. Around that era, we had a lot of pro-workers' rights stuff from different presidencies. I can't really think of anything off the top of my head other than stuff from Roosevelt. But, I mean, right now, we're in a pretty shit spot for workers' rights. We're pretty far behind a lot of other countries on it. But, yeah, I mean, actually, I think America, especially during the early 1900s, should be given, a little praise on its workers' rights from back then. Not now, though. We should be heavily criticized now.
American traditions that were perfectly acceptable even a few years ago, pledging allegiance to the flag, singing the national anthem, even saying Merry Christmas, have been called into question, mocked, and sometimes banned.
I mean, I pointed this out in a video about a year ago, but, I mean, the first two things, they're pretty fucking ridiculous. The Pledge of Allegiance and the national anthem. I showed that, video of North Korea doing their whole thing and being like, hey, this is pretty similar, and I still stand by that. The Merry Christmas thing, I mean, I guess private companies will ban it, but it's not illegal to say Merry Christmas. I mean, if you're Dennis Prager and you, throw a hissy fit over it, I might make fun of you, but, it's not illegal, so it's not banned technically.
The outcome of this new, nonviolent civil war between those who hold America and its history in contempt and those who, without denying its flaws, revere America, will determine the future of the American experiment, the new history we will make. Is America a country that was built by slavery, or a country that overcame and abolished slavery at the cost of 600,000 lives?
Yeah, but that was literally 90 years after this country was founded. I mean, I don't know. When did slavery end? I mean, it probably didn't end in 1865, so I might be wrong on that. But, what was it? Probably like 87 years, 86 years, something like that. A lot of stuff happened in between that time which helped build this country, which involved slavery. Many of the states we have today wouldn't be here if it weren't for slaves. Look at Nebraska, Kansas, Michigan, I think Ohio as well, Missouri. States that were literally added as compromise to slave states or non-slave states. What about the fact that most of this country's agriculture at the time literally only existed? The South's whole economy collapsed because slavery was gone. Oh yeah, not to also mention that slaves helped build all the fucking railroads. Like literally one of the most important things to the late 1800s. Because it literally connected this whole country together through the railroads. Through the late 1800s to like the mid 1900s, it was literally the most important fucking thing. Not to mention they literally built the White House. You really enjoy rewriting history, don't you?
Is America a country of rampant discrimination, or an accepting people in active pursuit of a more perfect union?
Ah, yes. America, the people of America, have always been accepting people in active pursuit of a more perfect union. You know, America, they really always loved the Irish, the German, Catholics, Jews, Mormons, Muslims, Quakers, Native Americans, black people, Mexicans, communists, Asian people. Gays. They totally have not had a strong history of treating them unfairly. The Ku Klux Klan? What was that? I've never heard of that.
Is it a country of grinding exploitation, or a land of limitless opportunity? The time has come to choose. How will you remember America? I'm James Robbins, columnist for USA Today and author of Erasing America for Prageru University.
Wow, guys, that was amazing. That was so inspiring. You know, it inspires me to write my own history book. America was founded in 1864 by Ash Ketchum wanting to catch his fucking Pikachu and call it a goddamn cunt. And also, fuck Misty. The end. Well, I hope you liked this video. Leave a dislike and call me a cynical piece of shit. And an alcoholic. And yeah. Slimber out.